What's going on, guys? Braces here. So today we have a second video about army books from 205. We'll tackle Dread Elves and Demon Legions. And again, I will try to present some more interesting options that maybe came out or maybe were just hidden. Those are the armies that I'm less familiar with. So if you want to add anything to the video, if you want to share your secrets and share your thoughts, please comment down below. I will definitely enjoy reading your opinions on this matter. And let's start with the Dread Elves. Pretty much every army in this update, except for warriors, got a very insignificant treatment. So the changes to Dread Elves are pretty significant as well. What I'd like to point out is the Cult Priestess at 120 points naked. So a very, very cheap PSP. And it can give a buff to the unit, so that looks pretty interesting. In the various lists, maybe she can finally find a place. The Divine Altar going up again, 20 points this time. I think this is out of my range and I don't want to take it anymore, which might be a good thing, I guess. What really surprises me is the Dragon going cheaper for the Oracle. I think Oracle on Dragon is very, very strong, and I think this will be actually one of the best models for the Dread Elves now, if you can take the risk. The Blades of Nab, this is a very good information. I think they are good. They are really, really good, really interesting. I don't yet know if I want to play a smaller unit or a bigger unit. I maybe would be encouraged to play a bigger unit if the characters on foot didn't suck that much. But since characters on foot mostly suck, and I mean the Dread Prince and the Captain, then I don't know if they will be worth it. The Medusa getting a lot cheaper is interesting. Basically with Halberd it costs the same as Harpies, and it provides some additional magic. Unfortunately, Medusa bounce spell doesn't work that well with the Dread Elves, since they actually have a pretty high initiative. It would be very, very good in army like Orcs and Goblins, but for Dread Elves, not really. But it's decently cheap and it can be a fighting option. Dread Knights getting cheaper, very good change, very interesting. Maybe they will be a good competition for the Acolytes now. So let's start with the ideas that I would like to test out. So this is the Occultist Dragon. What I already mentioned, I think the Occultist Dragon, yeah. The Master of Yama with the Wandering Familiar, probably with Moral Creeping. Pretty expensive, but it brings a lot to the army. It really brings a lot. Unfortunately, since this is not Divination as featured in my shitty Dread Elves video, you need a BSB, but I would say it's really worth it. I think it can fit practically any list. It doesn't need to be very tailored to it. Maybe it would be good to have a monster or two nearby just to provide additional covers, but I don't think it's necessary, especially with the Wandering Familiar. You can just chill behind a hill or impassable terrain and still cast the spells. The second thing I want to point at is the Cult Priest with Dancers of Yama. As I mentioned in my previous videos, I wanted to test this before, especially when Dancers were a bit better. But I still think that giving an additional punch to the unit is very good. Unfortunately, you probably need to pay for the Destiny Call for the Cult Priest, so it doesn't get absolutely annihilated. And then you are basically left with no points for any attacks. Something like Potion of Strength on it may be really worth it, since it's only 10 points, and you have the spare points, so why not trying it? Dancers of Yama are particularly good against fighty armies that don't shoot very much, because killing them in close combat is a nightmare. And if you put a Cult Priest in them, they have much higher damage output, so this should be good. And then the Blades of Nab, which I talked about. The Killy Prince, so basically there was a build at some point with a Prince with Great Weapon with multiple wounds too. It also gets the heavy armor that increases his armor for every wound inflicted. He is unfortunately very pricey. He is just less than 500 points. But if you make him a Beastmaster, then he can boost your infantry a bit, and then if you put 2 Hydras in the list, it probably could work. And the unit itself should be pretty unkillable, although very expensive and very fragile to shooting. After the list idea, I went with a bit modified list from my shitty Dread Elves video. And I tried to put a bit more combat into it. I didn't like the Pegasus load as much, but I think another Assassin and maybe one with Elixir of Shadows could work. And then I wanted to have acolytes in the list because I think acolytes are really good and can really deal some damage, deal some serious damage. And what is really interesting is in this list, except for the Oracle, all the units are really, really cheap. And you see the spam around. Losing neither of those units really bothers you, so this should be a pretty interesting one. But again, this is a pretty hard list and it has its hard counters. So I'm not really sure how this goes, but this is definitely something that I want to try out, or at least recommend for you to try out. So as we all know, they are promising us to bring the new army book for Demon Legions soon, probably before Christmas, but if they can make it, it's the other question. So the changes to Demon Legions are pretty insignificant. Again, shame for the missed opportunity. We are so long before the ETC, but I can totally understand that the team didn't want to put any effort into a book that is going to have a new version soon. So that's understandable, but it's pretty sad for the Demon players, isn't it? The obvious nerf went to the Weaver, but that was to be expected. What is really curious is that the Demon Prince got cheaper. So like builds like double Demon Prince with Lashes of Lust becomes a bit more interesting, I guess. And the Demon of Change with no price increase would be very interesting as well in this regard. Especially because his flight is really cheap. I would love to see people testing Father of Pestilence, but I still don't think that is going to happen. But the new book will come and there will be no Father, so finally we will not have an unplayable model in the book. That's good. So since Demons got so little changes, I don't think that there are many new ideas that can come to mind. So I definitely want to recommend you testing the Change Demon Prince with the scroll. I would say that bringing him as an adept would be really good, because then you can probably pick the reroll to wound from Avocation, and then you can probably pick the Raven's Wing. So 2 very good spells. And the scroll is only 5 points, and you don't want to have any other arcane item on him. And the second thing that I want to connect with that is the new changes to Avocation combined with Pestilence. Like the fact that you can have reroll to wound, reroll to hit, and -1 toughness, -1 leadership. All 3 spells very, very good for Pestilence. I think this can be nasty with enough Pestilence units, since those units are usually focusing on the low strength poison thing, and then the rerolls to wound and rerolls to hit and the -1 toughness help immensely with all of that. And it's basically very, very hard to stop that. So let's go to the list idea. This is kind of a variation of my ETC list, but not so much. It definitely misses on the magic part, but at least there is a bigger block of Talisman. I don't want Contamination on my Talisman, and I don't want the Striking at Initiative 1 on my Harbinger. I think both of those things are unnecessary and just make the unit so much more expensive. Maybe you can go for the Contamination on Talisman, but then you have like 4 models less. You can remove the banner of Relentless Company from Horrors, but I think it's a pretty interesting idea to help you with scoring, which demons usually struggle with, and to help you with getting out of very difficult situations. So I would say that this list should be pretty interesting, and I might try it out at some point. Obviously the general can be also the Harbinger if you feel like the Demon Prince is a bit too risky for you. Since this is Sunday today, I think today is the deadline for submission for lists for Pimp My List. If you still want to have your list reviewed by me, please send them. I'll again take one of them and take it for a ride, give you a more detailed thoughts about it. But I will respond to every list you send me, so you are basically not losing anything by sending a list to me. You are very welcome, and I hope I will be able to help you. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one. Cheers!